document for today, right?
Yep. Yes, we do.
Okay. So shall we start the session?
Yeah. Let's get started.
Okay. There you go. So you're recording right now?
Yep.
Okay. I'll keep track of time.
You need timekeeping? Does anyone want to do facilitation, note-taking, timekeeping, video indexer?
I'll do facilitation, I guess.
You want to help someone with the
I'll take
facilitation?
notes.
You want to be like a facilitator in training, Steve?
After I facilitated the FQN life session, life support session last week when you weren't around. It's not like it's the first time I've ever facilitated some kind of session or another, you know. I mean, they're doing training, but not you and me. So
You want to do co-facilitation? You want to do co-facilitation?
Yeah, that works.
Okay. I just wrote there note taker and timekeeper.
Okay.
Yep.
So we need video indexing, and then also we're splitting up the master document updater, which happens at the end, from the task responsibility master. I think that's gonna make it a little clearer on how that goes, and we'll go through that again.
Master tracking. All right. So for the master is like updating it's gonna be the last part, right?
What?
The updating for the master responsibilities list.
Mm-hmm. The master document updater is much more than just the responsibilities list, but yeah, that includes it. Mm-hmm.
Okay, Jay. Okay, when we're doing updates, I'll let you know what we did on the previous session.
Okay. So let's try this again. So we have the video indexing, we have the task responsibility master. There's the session value.
I'll do video indexing. I'll do video indexing.
Okay. And then we just have the task responsibility master, and that's just copying and pasting the tasks and responsibilities from the notes up to the top.
I'll do that.
Okay. So, and we'll go over that as well at the beginning, just to make sure we're on the same page. How about?
I think I had a copy. I think I had a cut and paste at least.
Does anyone want to sign up for session value tracking, master document updater, session task responsibility verifier?
I'll do session value tracking.
Okay. I can help with the session task responsibility verification. Anyways, we'll check in on this one, the master document updater. This seems to be the one that has most problems, but
yeah.
And then this stuff, let's not worry about for now. Sweet. So let's check in.
All right.
Steve, you want to do the check-in section?
Sure, I would gladly do the check-in section. Give me 1 second so I get back on the right page. And because while you were talking, I was finishing what I was doing.
I can do it. It's not a big deal. Okay. I'll go first. This is Jay. I'm doing pretty well. I had to go to the dentist yesterday, and so I kind of took the afternoon off, which was nice. And but I felt terrible. I drank out of a straw. And yeah, I think like today I'm a little overwhelmed. I do need to go to Oakland today, so the client needs me in person, and I think it should be better to go, meet in person. They're paying us a lot of money, so let's go over there. And that's pretty much it. for me. I'm maybe like a 6.5.
Okay.
And I'll go next. I'm dealing with my life issues with my fiance as best as can be. It's got me a little down in the dumps, but whatever will be, will be. Most people take 2 years to get done. We only have about a year and a month and a half. So we're ahead of the game anyway. And if it takes 6 more months, so be it. I'm looking forward to my trip to the Philippines in July, and I'm feeling health-wise, I feel great. And I will do a little bit of that. I'm still a 6.5.
Okay. Is James here? I'll go next.
Yeah, Jorge, go for it.
Yeah.
No. On the bottom, I only see you, me, Nelly, and Jay. So I guess James isn't here.
Yeah, James is not here. So okay, I'll go next. I'm traveling again to the capital because I've been with my parents this week, and yeah, it's been good paying visit to my parents. I'm traveling with them as well because I need to go to the doctor this weekend, and they're going with me since my girlfriend cannot go with me. She's working, and I'll check if I can get the cast removed from my shoulder, or if I need surgery or something. But yeah, that's gonna be tomorrow. I have a busy morning tomorrow as well. Some errands. Anyway, I'm feeling like 7. And check.
What happened to your shoulder?
I had like a small accident, but it was like bad enough to have my shoulder immobilized for the time being because the doctor didn't want to run like any risks. So yeah, he said we need to immobilize it, and then we'll check if it needs surgery because probably there's like something that avoiding movement, full movement, full rotation movement of the shoulder, left shoulder. I already had like an injury over there, an injury years back. Probably better.
Okay. Been there, done that. I pitched when I was younger. I had rotator cuff surgery way back when.
So Nelly, do you want to check in?
Yeah, go ahead, Nelly.
Well, I've had a really relaxed morning, finally, after all the work that I had. But I'm glad I had time to work with Jorge because we're getting all the things together for the ballot tracking and the monthly because we are preparing for the quarterly. That is coming, and it's going to be a lot of work. So we are getting ready for that. So I feel like a 6. Yes. Check.
Any luck getting James back? No. Does anyone want to check in on James? Maybe.
Sure, I'm on it.
I will send him. I will send him a Skype.
Okay.
Wait, this morning because he already messaged me earlier today.
All right. So this
I
is
already sent him a Skype.
Okay. Nelly sent him a Skype. So yeah, this is where facilitation gets a little more difficult. So I'll take this part on. So we did our check-ins. How long we have? I mean, hopefully we can do pretty quick. I'll get through all this stuff. So.
Okay, James say he will be joining us.
I think the latest to start wrap up would be like 3:30 p.m. America's time.
What time? I'm sorry.
3:30 p.m. America's time.
Yeah, sure.
Would be the latest we would want to start. But this is really good, guys. We got everything set up. We did check-ins and all that stuff. and it's only been 10 minutes. So that's the way we should be doing it. You want to go boom, boom, boom.
Doing it long enough, it should go this fast.
Yeah, well,
You know.
we'll just keep getting better. So what I have for topics is I wanted to go over quickly the task responsibility master so that that's really clear since we've been having problems with that. And then what we have here is a list of topics. I mean, I definitely, I think for me, the main desired outcomes are really just kind of like, you know, move forward with our policies and understanding about, you know, work and boss relationships, etc. That's important. Addressing, like, you know, find resolution to previous concerns from the last meeting. So we might need to review the last meeting for that. So we need the main session doc here at the top. So we should have the Andromeda main session doc. So if someone can get that, that would be very helpful.
Andromeda session doc?
Okay.
The Andromeda main session doc?
Sure.
Yeah, I'll get it.
All right, so I think that's pretty much it for me. So I have the topics I have is task responsibility master, address concerns from previous meeting, which we'll get in a second. Sonic team conflict, it would be good to check in on that. Team rankings, independence levels, we have a couple proposals there. Team equity would be great. Output would be good. Value squared process. So let's just see how much we can get through. And it'd be great to get to buddy teamwork if we could.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Oh, Jay, I have a question. Nice height. What was the one we were supposed to remove from the calendar from Friday?
Session.
Well, let's put that as another topic so we could go through the updating calendar and schedule.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I mean, I could just answer that, but then that would be out of the context of the whole purpose of organizing. So let's see if we can get, okay, Andromeda double team doc. That's not the main session doc. So we want the Andromeda main session doc.
One that's the list of all the Andromeda main sessions.
Yes, that one.
Get you that one.
But it's good to have the Andromeda double team doc on here as well. So it's good to have both because different things are good for different reasons. But the Andromeda main session doc is just so much simpler to deal with than the super team doc. It's just a mess. It's just like, oh my goodness. Okay, so
All right, give me one minute, I'll have it.
Boy, how does this topic sound for you? I mean, I guess I can try to guess these concerns. One was related to a whole bunch of stuff. Like it was basically Ana Clara's list of concerns, and then there was Jorge's concern regarding, I think it was about the documents, something like that.
James is here.
Hey, James, you want to check in?
Yeah, I want to check in. Sorry for I'm late for a couple of minutes. My call was being dropped out every time I tried to connect. And my day has been good. Everything went as planned. Would be in good health. Yeah, so for that reason, I'm a 6.
All right, it's open.
All right, well, I'm just going to get the Andromeda session main doc And look, it's right here at the very top. It literally is going to take me about 15 seconds. So that is done.
Organization doc. Okay.
And then here we have our notes from the last meeting,
That's it.
Thursday, June 22nd. And so we also want to add the notes to this meeting. So somebody could do that.
Yep.
And if we go to our topics, the other place it's possible that this might be, if things were done correctly, would be going to the master topic list. Let's see if it's here. I don't see it. I don't know. So, I mean, if this was done correctly and the master document updating has come correctly, we'd have the list of the next steps from the previous meeting. But it's just not here. So I'm going to go into, does everyone understand that the master topic list, if done correctly, would have all of the next steps from the previous meeting? You guys follow me?
Yeah.
The master task list?
No, the master topic list would have all the next steps and topics from the previous meeting. But it doesn't have that. That's not there. So that's a problem. So anyways, we're just gonna have to go to the previous notes and look directly at the notes. And this is some of the stuff that can happen early if we were organizing things ahead of time to get the agenda all prepared. All right, so we're definitely sort of falling off the wayside here. Here we go. Ana Clara's general concern. System tracking, people not doing what they're, boom. Policy. All right, strategic voting, membership engagement, and strategy. I think we're gonna skip that one. So like all of this needs to be in the topic.
Well, I can
master
answer
topic.
to some of that already.
So it just wasn't copied in correctly. So it took us an extra like 5 or 10 minutes that would have been better to spent on something else. So let's put this in here. Boom.
Guys, my internet's coming in and out, so I'm coming in and out
Okay.
as well.
Right, so does anyone have any other topics or other
No, that covered
desired
it. Actually, you
outcomes?
just covered what I wanted to add.
Any other topics
That
or
was in
desired
the next
outcomes?
step, so that's fine.
Anyone else?
No, not for me.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Yesterday we were discussing with Steve about payroll because we didn't add it on the schedule. It should be on the 2-week schedule.
What do you mean the 2-week schedule?
On the 2-week schedule, so because there was an email that asking us about the payroll, about the payroll will be monthly or weekly. You said it's going to be the second for every 2 weeks.
And we were working on it, and the list has been updated, and Jay knows who needs to be paid. List yesterday.
So, I mean, I don't know if this is a topic for the whole team. I mean, basically, we just need to prioritize payroll within the buddy teams to get it done.
Okay.
It's just work that needs to get done. But each individual gets to choose when they want to be paid. They can either be paid weekly, twice a month, or monthly.
Yeah, we got an email asking us that, and we answered that.
We have a list. We have a list, and
So I feel like we're getting ahead of ourselves here. Let's just finish up and get agreement on the topics, and then let's go into this so that we don't get sidetracked. So, do we want to add updates to the priority topics, or can we just jump right in?
I think we can just jump right in. We were discussing about updates on the first part of the meeting.
So no updates. So I think we're good then. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's do the task responsibility master. So this is one of the roles, for whatever reason, that just been not working out very well. So we just keep covering it. So the main thing here is that in the last meeting, what we went over for the roles and responsibilities was the idea of the master document updater. And master document updating, I think it was too much. I think people are just getting confused, and it's just, a lot of. So the two things that we want to make sure are really clear here is, one, we're splitting up. Wait, this is last week's session. Shit. Everything going good here? Let me see. Yeah, this looks good. Okay. So the main thing is that we split up all the roles, that we have 5 roles that happen during the session. So these are things that are active and ongoing during the session. And then we have 3 roles that happen at the end of the session. So I think it really helps, separating them, like things that happen during the session and things that happen at the end. So with the master document updating, like the master document updater updates all the master documents at the end of the session. And the main reason why that is so important is because if you update the documents in the middle of the session, one, the people in the team don't see what's happening, and two, it's like you don't have all the information complete until the end of the session. So for example, in the last meeting, they copied the priority topics at the end, during the middle of the meeting, and so all the next steps were missing. The most important topics that need to get into the master topic list were missing, right? So that's why you do it at the end. So the idea is the task responsibility master would happen during, and so all the things that happen during the meeting are the responsibility of the task responsibility master, and then the master document updater is at the end. So we're just going to quickly go through and split that up. So this would be the task responsibility master, which currently Steve is doing, but everybody should be able to do this. And basically all we have to do is remove, and this is a real-time session.
Anything that's been completed.
Say what?
Anything that's been completed has to be removed. Yeah.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about, but
if the test is completed, completed, or it has to be moved to a doc that says that for completed tasks, one or the other. Otherwise, you're gonna keep going back and think that it's not done.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. No.
Yeah, but I'm saying in general. Okay.
Sure, in general, yeah, in general that's good. But the task responsibility master, all that has to do is to track and document the task responsibilities and projects within the session, who signed up for them. So it's like during the session, and then make sure it is transparent for everyone, right? And so that what we do is during the session we copy and paste the responsibilities and tasks from all of the different notes, right? From the notes sections to the heading sections under project responsibilities and tasks. This is so at the end of the meeting, we can quickly review them, and that it's transparent, and everyone can see, what they signed up for, and everyone has access. Okay, so you don't need to. The idea is that you don't need to like go through like all of the freaking notes in order to find a simple task, right? So let's say we're in the notes here and we're saying, okay, we have some tasks and projects. We have project responsibility tasks. Maybe Jorge signed up to create a doc for some session, right? The session preparation is something that Nelly signs up to help out with the session preparation, and then maybe session support is like Buddy, Team, Jay, and Steve, right? So here's the project, the responsibility, the task. So you would take these, and I would copy the task, and I would go up to the task, priority task, and I'd write it there, right? And then the session, I would copy and paste the session preparation responsibility into the responsibilities list. And I would copy the session support project into the project. And that's literally it. It's just making a list at the top of the document with all the projects, responsibilities, and tasks. It's not trying to do like rocket science or anything. It should be, you know, a doable task. And it's important. Does everyone understand why this is important in terms of like making sure that we have access? So I can go to the previous notes, because if we don't do this, then we just have no idea what happened in the meeting, right? So I can go to the previous notes. Oh my God, where is it? The topic.
So in a few words, like all the topics should be there because we can like take a quick review for the next session and see what we're missing, right?
Well, I mean, it's where you review at the end of the session, right? To make sure that everybody knows what they're going to do. And obviously, we have the ability to review at the end. So here's what was the last session. So we have all the list of the projects that we covered, all the list of the responsibilities that we covered, and who signed up for them, and all the list of the tasks that we covered, right? So otherwise, if we didn't do this, and I did this myself at the end of the session, right? I did all this on my own. If we don't do it, then it's like that information is lost. The only way to find it would be to like go through all the notes and one at a time try to pull up different responsibilities and tasks within the notes, and it's just a lot. It's just a lot of work. When you have them at the top like that, you're able to just quickly review them and check them out. And some meetings would have a lot of task responsibilities, and other ones will have very few. But either way, it's still important. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So, but okay. On the cases that we are taking responsibilities, we're assigning tasks. So the one who is like you, like preparing the session. Yeah, who is like I say today, Steve is on training. So when they assign the responsibilities, they should be on that list. So that's more for someone who is taking notes, or the one who is
the note taker is busily hurling taking notes. For example, if the note taker was doing their job right now, they would be taking notes on everything I was saying. But I'll take my own notes. But it's like,
case the facilitator should be like giving the task to everybody, right? Like everybody's taking, and the facilitator should add in there, or
the facilitator is not responsible for handing out tasks, right? The team as a whole, everybody can suggest any task, responsibility, anything, any goal, whatever, that we're just talking, right? And we're documenting all of the different ideas, and some are tasks, some are responsibilities, some are projects, some are like, you know, other things that need to be taskified or turned into responsibilities. But the idea is that then they're in the notes. So we're going to have potentially 10 pages of notes of a whole mix of information and tasks, responsibilities, all that stuff. Does that make sense? So the note taker is focusing on the notes. The facilitator is focusing on making sure the meeting moves forward and that everyone's getting a chance to speak, et cetera, et cetera. And then the person like dealing with the topics is dealing with topics. The master task and responsibility master, right, is able to make sure that that gets organized at the top of the document. Does that make sense, Jorge?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay, cool. Nice. So it's just really, it would be really difficult for the note taker to both be, you know, quickly and hurriedly taking notes, you know, and also to copy and paste things all over the notes and try to coordinate all the tasks and responsibilities. It's just too much for the note taker to do that, you know?
Part of the setup, maybe part of the, you know, setup when you set the page, whoever sets the page up, since we do schedule, you know, to come in a little earlier to do that, part of that has to be going to the previous week and then putting and pasting, copying and pasting everything into the new sheet. That's all. It's done before the sheet, before we even start.
Okay, I'm not sure what you were getting at, but I think you were talking about something else. I don't know.
When whoever's making up the doc for the day, the doc that we're working on now, while they're making it up, after they make the actual doc, maybe that person should go into the previous week's notes and make sure to copy and paste the task, the next steps and the tasks.
But that's exactly what we don't want to do. The only thing that we want to do is to have this meeting's tasks, responsibilities, and projects here. The last meeting has those already.
The next steps, then to paste the next steps.
Well, we have that in the master topic list. The master topic list should have all of the next steps for not only the last meeting, but all of the previous meetings. Should be right here. Right? So
Yeah, right.
so the role of let's talk about what happens at the end of the meeting, because I think that's what Steve is referring to. So the master document updater will now only happen at the end of the meeting, right? So this is just the end of the session. So this would be real-time end of session position, right? So they would update the master project list, the master responsibility list, the master task list, the master topic list, and this includes the next steps, right? And this holds over to not only the next meeting, but all of the other meetings that need to know the Andromeda next steps, right? From there, overall responsibilities that relate to it is updating the master video indexing list, right? For the master video index training index. Task, responsibility, documentation verification spreadsheet, the decisions, the master decisions doc, and making sure the notes get logged in the session notes log. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of things that can happen to update all of these lists to make sure that they're up to date. But let's say this didn't happen; it can happen at any time. Like anybody can easily update these lists and make sure they're ready for future sessions, even if it doesn't happen immediately. But this can only happen in real time. Like the task, responsibility, master can only happen in real time. So at the end of the session, when we get into wrap up, so wrap up would be right here. So the wrap up, you have next steps, responsibility, tasks. So we're going through the responsibilities, who signed up to do what, so that everybody knows. And that's why the project's responsibilities and tasks are right next to the wrap up, so that when you're wrapping up, you're reviewing everything that everyone signed up to do so that it gets done. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Cool. So anyways, we'll just keep covering it, over and over and over again. I mean, this is nothing new. We've been talking about this for months now, but for whatever reason, it's one of those parts that's just not working quite yet, but we'll get there. We will get there. And it's one of the most important parts because it relates to the actual tasks and responsibilities. And it's like, otherwise we're just talking, we're not actually getting things done unless we actually move forward and follow up with the task and responsibilities in the project. Sweet. Okay, so let's move on to the next topic. Do you want to do this one, Steve?
Well, I was concerned. Yes, so I don't know. We really want that. And
Sonic Team.
Topic is Ana Clara's general concerns.
The next topic.
I can introduce it if you want.
You want me to do it? Let me do it.
Okay, go for it.
The next topic would be Ana Clara's concern about our systems tracking people not doing it and knowing they won't do it. Kind of what we just talked about, that we have to make sure that the lists, and we know who took the responsibility for doing them. So basically what we just talked about will cover part of that. As far as knowing they won't do it, we can't say that somebody's not going to do their job. So, personal feeling on her part, saying that she doesn't think they'll do it, all we can do is give the people the work, and if it doesn't get done, then handle that afterwards. We have to assume that they're going to do it. And we have to, we are kind of people that assume that people are going to do what they say they're going to do. And then if they don't, the team will have to decide what's to be done. If somebody consistently says they're going to do work and doesn't get around to it, or doesn't even try to do it, we'll have to speak with that as a team and decide what needs to be done. Everybody agree with that?
Off and on. I mean, I would say the first thing I would try to do is just try to get the vocabulary right, and so that we all know what we're talking about. Because there's so many different things that come up in this, like the systems, the tracking, follow up, follow through. It's just it's a lot, But it sounds good. It definitely sounds good. So the main thing that I would say is that it seems like the most important thing is somehow doing retrospective, review of who said they were going, but and did they get it done? I guess that's kind of what it comes down to. I don't know.
I mean, it's what our systems were changing as we go along. Me and Nelly and Adrienne are in the process of doing a filing system. That's one of the things that were in the next steps, I think. We're in the process of setting up a new filing system. We started talking about it yesterday. I did a little work. I did a lot of work after hours last night to figure out what will work best. And I've come up with an idea that I will talk about with, I think I have a session with Nelly tonight, or with Andromeda, we'll work on it. That will make finding documents, finding links much easier. It'll all be in one central place. You won't have to search around. That will make our life. Every doc for value tracking will be in one place, in one folder. Every doc for FQN payroll will be in one place. For legal will be in one place, and it'll all be on one doc where you just click a link and get to all the docs at once. Hopefully that will make everybody a little easier to deal with. As people not doing it, like we said earlier, we'll have to just do a resume to see who's doing what they said and who isn't. Everybody wrote that down. Or Jorge did. And as I said, if we find that people aren't doing it, then we'll have to decide how to get it done as a team. I think that covers most of our adequate concerns in as much as we can at this point. Any comments, questions?
Well, sure, I have a couple things I could say, but let's see if Jorge, James, or Nelly want to add anything. And then we kind of just mixed up the like you're talking about the documents and virtual filing systems and Jorge's concerns.
Well, because he has people. Well, that's our system. So that's on the clouds. It's our system that covers both of those questions. System kind of takes all that into account.
Okay. What I could say about this, we were actually discussing this last week, and we had discussed it a little bit on our buddy team. Sometimes we pay more attention about the follow-up documents than the work that we're doing, because there are so many things that we need to fill in order to get one task done. Well, this is what I like about value tracking. Yeah, value tracking, you open the documents of value tracking, you verify the information 2-3 times, right? You fill in the logs, you fill in the ledger, and then you report in your working document and your reporting document, and that'll be it. Next day, all you have to do again is do the same verification 2, 3, 4 times, and then verify that everything is being correct. Right, so sometimes we even have to start over after half an hour because we find out an error. So that's what we like about value tracking. I think that there's one very important thing here about body teams. The responsibility about one task fall on one body team, because, for example, I don't know how to do it, or if I cannot do it. For example, I have something like quite personal that happened, and I could not meet with my body team. I know that Nelly and Ana Clara Yeah, they're gonna step up and they're gonna do it. Or I know, for example, yesterday Nelly was not here, but I know that I have to do some value tracking for my team and also for myself. So we stepped up and we did, and I did it. Right? Not only for me, but for my team, because I can actually, I was explaining Nelly what I did yesterday. So we had this update within our body team. I think that when it comes to responsibility and all the documentation, yeah, but those follow-up documents, I know it is important, but sometimes like an easy explanation would be just quite enough. Like, you copy this here, you copy this there, that's done. For example, on the master training, on the master documents that you were talking about minutes ago. Yeah, it's something that even you, Jay, even you said it. It's not gonna. We're not taking, like, we're not gonna do it like in 1 month, 2 months. I know it's been 3 months. Yeah, but there's still a lot of things that if you ask me, I think I understand most of the things we are doing. I say must because it would be I would be lying to myself if I say I know how to do everything.
Well, that's
what I have to
just
ask. Sometimes
you're referring just to our client, our one client. So you understand more or less what we're doing for one client, which is one out of, like, you know, potentially like 20. So yeah, so there's a bigger picture that we haven't even started touching upon.
Exactly. So I know I can rely on this team, right? If something happens to me, but my team can also be sure that I'm not just gonna leave and say without saying anything. That's why responsibilities should be on the body team, on body teams, on double teams, because if you forget something, someone else is gonna remind you.
Yeah, and I think I mean, one thing just to make sure we're on the same page on here. So if we go back to the previous session for June 22nd, you know, I made sure to update it and make it really clear that when we are assigning responsibilities here, it's like these are buddy teams. It's like buddy team Nelly, Jay, Steve. Buddy team Steve, Jay, Nelly, right? Buddy team Jay, Andreen, and Steve and James. Or this would be a double team, right? So we can clarify that. I mean, the goal, I think that you're 100% right, that it's very important to be making sure that buddy teams are getting these responsibilities. But I think the other thing that's being discussed here that's just as applicable is that Anacleta is right. Like this list of responsibilities is not getting done. You know, partly because we need to do more recruitment, right? Because I don't think that we are capable of doing all of the work that needs to get done as a team. We just don't have enough people with the skills and the abilities that we would need. So that's one of the things that's falling through the crack, which is why it's overall priority, and it's been a priority for weeks. But the point is here is that I think it's okay if all this doesn't get done right away. This can get done over the course of another month or even more, you know? So except for maybe some of this client relations stuff that we need to get to as soon as possible. But, you know, this is the final stages of what we call the operation sprint for exit. Like the goal is just to wrap everything up, put it in a bow, you know, the final reports, the final, you know, things that we're doing, and just basically deliver it and start focusing on the bigger picture and just creating the system of just, I mean, everything is going to be continuing to happen as opposed to new things, right? And then taking on new things, but not as a sprint, you know, to do it more slowly and more methodical. But I want to also add what Steve and Jorge, other people were saying, is that what works the best, and we need to get better at note taking even. I mean, that's just like, when I'm talking, someone should be taking notes, just like I take notes when other people are talking. But what works the best is when there are step-by-step instructions. Okay, and this is what instructions. So this is basically, there's two things that we have. We have systems. Systems are a specific goal is achieved with the system, right? So this is what we would call an outcome. And then typically, or slash out, well, not really output, it could just be an outcome or deliverable, right? And then typically systems are made up of processes. And so processes are like step-by-step instructions to get, you know, a component.
Get the desired results.
Yeah. And so we need to be putting a lot more effort into systematizing and processing everything so that it's really clear for people step by step, how does it work and what needs to happen, right? So in the example of the finance system, we went through the overall system of these are the different steps of the system to get done of the annual finances and the taxes, right? That's the goal for the system. But each one of those steps is individual processes. So we have to go through the processes and what are the exact specific steps that you need to do to accomplish that particular process. Okay?
Okay.
So we need to put a lot more effort into that, and it just takes time, you know? And for me, the number one thing that would help be able to put in the time, right? It takes lots of extra time to create systems and processes. It's always easier just to do the work than to make the work teachable for 10 other people, right? But we need to do this. And this is for everybody. Yeah, and this includes, you know, Steve and everybody. I mean, we need to open up and get as many people involved in all of these things we're doing, and that's why we create systems and processes. So the number one thing that would help to make this happen is to get our overall priorities done.
The amount of transferring a lot of links into the files. This isn't a long process. I will then start as my task, not as my buddy teamwork, but as a task, or both, to start putting down the exact, I'll talk to Jay about it, I'll find where the docs are, and I'll make a training session that has step by step for every, and it's going to take time for this, for every system and process we have. But it's going to take a little bit of time so that when new people come in, they can look at the stuff and follow it step by step by step by step.
Let me just remind you guys, we only have like 3 more minutes, and what I'm going to say is really fast. In order to create processes, because it's not the first time I've been told about processes, I have created processes for different organizations. So it is quite easy when you know how to do it. To do. For example, if you ask me, write the process of when you want to get out of your house. Okay, number 1, get up. Number 2, brush your teeth. Number 3, get a shower. 4, breakfast. 5, get dressed. 6, 7, 8, get out. Yeah, right. Because I know how to do it. But in these cases, if you're not sure what you're doing, so there's no way you can write a proper process. For example, yesterday I was telling.
When I want to do value track, I'll come to you, Nelly, and Anna Clara, and ask you to help me put down the process. Whenever I want to do taxes, I'll go to Jay and ask Jay to help me put down the steps. I will create the system. I'm not going to put any knowledge. The knowledge will come from the people who know how to do it. The things that I know how to do, like social media and stuff, I can put down a process. You know, I know how to do some of the taxes. You know, I can put down a process. Bookkeeping, I can put down a process. But when it comes to something like the value track, I'm going to come to you guys time so we can put this down step by step by step. I'm going to go to Jay. Jay, you got to find an hour for me so we can put this down step by step by step. I will find what I can in the training videos, and maybe I'll do some of that and then have the people who know it look at it like you did today. Or you put it down and told Jay to look at it. Some of the stuff I will find in the paper, in the videos. step from what I find in the videos, and then have the people who know how to do it tweak it so that it's right. But it's going to take a little bit of time.
Yeah. So I mean, systems and processes is a whole responsibility section in and of itself. So let's add that to our responsibilities, and we'll get to it. But I think that you're 100% right, Jorge. That, you know, one of the reasons we don't have a lot of systems and processes is because everything we're doing is brand new. We've never done it before. So it's like, how do you create a system and a process for something you've never done before? And the answer is like, okay, we have to figure out how to do it. And then once we've done it a few times, then we can systematize it and train other people, right? So it will come slower than we would want it to. So I just want to mention that the systems and processes component of this discussion is just one part. So let's make sure that James and Nelly get a chance to speak on the bigger issue, and then we can wrap up and move on. James,
Okay.
Nelly?
As I told Steve yesterday, I think that what we need is a real good outline about this new idea coming up, because it's a big, ambitious idea that he has. I think it's very good. And I think we all going to work on it, because we all going to use it, and we all need to work on it. So that's going to be very important.
I think I can. I'll talk to you later, the specific. But I think I've had the very easy way to do it.
Yeah, well, we're looking forward to hearing about it, because right now it's a really exciting secret idea, but you said you would be ready to present it soon, so maybe next week.
Yes, by then it should be up and running, so yes, hopefully.
Nice. James, do you want to say anything?
Yeah. For me, I think what Nelly has said, I agree with her. Come up with a good outline of the ideas that we are coming up with, because we are just getting, I'm very sure, I know that we are just getting started, and good things are ahead. And before we get to the good things, we need to get organized, and that is all I can say.
All right, so I think we're pretty good. I think all of this comes under worker coordination and documentation, systems and processes, documentation, virtual filing systems, cover all of that stuff. So are we ready to move on to the next topic?
Yeah, sure.
Awesome.
Yes.
Let's see what the next topic is. Sonic
Next
team
topic
conflict.
would be Sonic team conflict.
All right. Should I do this one, Steve?
Yeah, you can do this one if you like, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, you should do this one, because I might lose my temper.
Okay, so
if you would have heard when it was happening that night,
come on, Steve, you can do
that. So go ahead, Jay. No, I would.
okay, so basically, there's kind of an update here on what, like, basically we want to give you an update on what basically happened within the Sonic team over the weekend, the role of the Andromeda team within the conflict mediation and evolution process, and then also the pre-proposal of the worst case scenario. So basically, the bottom line is that there was a big conflict and eruption between, you know, Julie, Benji, Lucy, and Lucy is very emotional and very upset and very, you know, she is not a happy camper, and it's a big problem. And it's ongoing, right? It's definitely not taken care of. We did a whole conflict, you know, mediation in part of our conflict evolution process within the last meeting, and it was, you know, it helped, you know, so it definitely reduced the tensions. It helped, you know, spread out the energy and everything, which is good. And I just want to I can't help but just constantly realize that we need to get, we need to prioritize, recruiting note takers. I mean, this is literally what we do. We run sessions, we take notes, and we document things. And if we can't do this, like I mean, it's just like I say it all the time, and it's just sometimes it gets a little better, but this should be the one thing that we never have a problem with. So it's like, let's do that. Like, oh my goodness. Anyways. Sorry, it's just hard not to be distracted. So it'll actually be better for me if I just slow down and just do it myself. So the update is that there was a big conflict between Lucy, Julie, and Benji.
Yeah, that's it.
And Lucy.
DJ.
What?
And here.
I think your sound's breaking up a little bit.
Benji is Julie's husband, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Lucy is still very emotional and about it. We did the big conflict evolution process, during the session, the main Oceana or the main Sonic session. So it helped. It helped a lot. Helped a lot. But there's still, but there is still more to deal with. Anyways, it's very, very frustrating having to write this all out and not being able to talk, but I'm doing my best. So in the context with the within the conflict evolution process, for a couple of things here. One is that we have a really good overview in the training index now, so people can learn about process and policies. It's like the policies. And then the role is that basically, a more independent team would, be involved in decision making over the issues, right? So the Andromeda team by default would be involved in helping deal with any issues and problems that continue and come up. So basically the current status is, I guess I'll write it up here. The status is that there should be scheduled one other basically mediation. And then temporarily, separating Lucy from Julie and Benji.
Okay.
Yeah? I can't hear you, Steve. You're cutting in and out. So the worst case scenario.
Out of the half an hour when you sent Benji back.
What?
How did that go?
I still can't really hear you, Steve. Can anyone else hear Steve?
Wait, you sent Benji back to work with Lucy? Okay.
A little bit.
Yeah, how about now?
Well, sure, but it was only for like 10 or 15 minutes. I mean, it was
Benji
not.
back to work with Lucy.
Yeah.
Get it. Forget it.
Or I mean, just basically,
guys,
it's
just
like.
for you know, we had just exhausted the 5 minutes we have for this.
I know, but it's going to take a lot longer if I need to type and write everything myself. So we need another 5 minutes. So anyways, the worst case scenario is basically, that I can think of is the Andromeda team voting to remove both Lucy, Julie, and Benji, right? So that's one worst case scenario. Other possible options is like, we could remove Lucy, or we could remove Benji and Julie, et cetera, et cetera. So we need to think of like how we want to deal with this. I mean, overall, system and processes, I'm not going to go through detail. It's like people need to be willing to work with each other, and a lot of these problems stem from cultural differences. And if we can't deal with these things within our own systems, our own organization, how are we going to solve all the big, huge crises in the world, which is the whole point and goal?
I think something that is very important about the community and this network community is that we are able to work with anybody, you know. For example, Nelly is able to work with Jorge or with Steve or with James or with Andrine or with Jay or with anybody, and we still will be will give a good job, you know, and will work for the community and will work kindly and will be kind to each other and respectful. I think that's something that it's very important, and we have not to lose that of our side. One of the main things, and if they already lost it, I think we have to. They have to work in body teams. So sometime they will have to work Julie and Lucy. So will they be productive working together, or will they only fight? I don't know.
The question I was asking when you said,
will they only be problematic to their community instead of being productive?
Hey Steve, you might want to go in and come back, go out and come back in, because it's definitely, we can't hear you too well. James, yeah.
Okay, you know me. I don't mean to laugh, but for me, what is happening between Benji and Lucy and Julie is that they are trying to create maybe a faction or something like East Germany and West Germany, and it is not good. Because for me, what I understand is that even though we are in different continents, we are in different corners of the world, for us to function as a team, we need to be able to embrace each other's cultures and the backgrounds. And for me, it's because for me, I know it is very hard, because during the time that we are coming up with the budgets, it's hard for me to agree with to agree with Lucy and Julie from a buddy team, because already the tension was already there. It was something that it's something that it did not start like yesterday. Being there. And it is something that we need to address it. It is something that is very concerning, and it is going against that we have for the whole team. We are trying to change the world. We can't change the world while a certain corner of our team is burning, and we can do something about it. Because it is a serious issue. I know it. It is just that I find it hard to talk about it.
Yes.
Well, we definitely need to be able to talk about these things, because if we can't talk about...
Because I think Nelly be able to work with Jay, with Nelly, with Jorge, with Steve, without forming certain tensions within the team to address this issue.
Yeah. So I mean, I think the bottom line is really like, what are we going to do about it, right? What is the Andromeda team willing to do to the rules are clear, you know? So like setting up clear rules, and also, you know, we have the worst case scenarios, and it would be good to let them know, like, if you guys don't figure this out, this is what's going to happen, right?
Let me, Jay.
Steve?
Yeah, what happened when you said Benji back to work with Lucy for the half hour last night.
I don't know if he even went.
Okay, like I said, I was following along to see what was going to happen, but I didn't stick around because I was working. I was tapping in and out, and I saw the messages on Skype. I think we need to see if solution worked that you did with them the other day before we go any further. With scenarios. But I think the first thing we have to do is see if the conflict resolution actually had any effect.
Okay, but I think it is good to let them know what we're willing to do. For example, are we as a team willing to tell them that basically, you know, if it gets worse comes to worse, you know, we need to be professional. All three people are done.
You can't do one and not the other.
Yeah.
If worse comes to worse, all three of them are gone. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So does anyone disagree with that?
So, lack of edge,
I mean, it sounds like we have. It sounds like we have agreement on that. You know.
Yeah.
So this is a proposal that basically the Andromeda team would have the power to intervene, and that in the worst case scenario, we can just be like, you know, all three of you guys need to go, right? And that they need to know that so that they understand that they need to act professionally. And I mean, I think for me, that's really what it comes down to. It's acting professionally. Like, I don't care if you don't like each other. Period. Right? You don't like each other, that's fine. On the same thing, that's fine. But you got to be working buddy teams. You know, you have to be willing to just communicate with each other in a professional way. And you don't need to like each other. You know what I mean? It's like we're all professionals here, and we should be able to function professionally and put our differences aside and be able to function in a way that's not, you know, emotional and, you know, escalational, right?
Okay. I don't know how it works there, but I know that on a company, when you got three three strikes, you're out.
Yes.
I don't know if this is the first, second, or third strike. But we also need to take into account if how much are they making monthly, and if the money that they are collecting worth the work they're doing, because for less or for the same money, but they don't have the training. So, well, in that case, I would say yeah, we can decide about it. But
yeah,
I don't know if we need to give them more chances or what.
Yeah, I mean,
because there is some time of behavior that should not be tolerated, like being unrespectful with each other.
Yeah,
we have to be respectful with each other all the time.
Yes, yes.
I mean, you can have your point, and the other can have their own opinion, but we have to always be respectful with the other.
Yeah. So let's wrap up here. I think that really kind of, you know, sums it all up, Nelly. You know, being respectful to each other, and also if someone's not respectful to you, right, especially like in the public or whatever, we are respectful right back. You know, that's part of our training, is that we need to learn how to take respectful, and instead of giving them hate back, we give them love back. I mean, that's literally part of our job, right? So, you know, it goes both ways. Additionally, I want to make sure it's clear that if people don't take money, we can't get rid of them, right?
Yeah.
So we can tell someone we're going to not pay you anymore, but if they want to stay involved, you know, they have to wait a month or whatever, but they can basically make a proposal like I'll you know, volunteer or won't work for money. And then, you know, on the bigger levels of getting the public involved, we are actually all work for the public. We're all publicly accountable. So in that context, our only power to ensure that we can function as a network is that we can have cultural and strategic divisions. I think a lot of the disagreements and confusion and you know, arguments come from cultural differentiations and not understanding.
I don't know. I was there for the beginning of it. They didn't know I was watching, following along on Skype, and it was that, but it was also some straight out people calling each other. It was basically exactly what was said. I think you falsified your document. I'm not going to say who that was unless you want me to.
Well, we know who it was. I mean, you know.
I know you know who it was. I know you know who it was.
But the point here is that James is right. This is nothing new. That it did not start on Saturday. It started like a month ago, and that there's been an ongoing tension between Julie and Lucy. And then when Benji got involved, it escalated it because now there was 2 people instead of just 1. And so now Lucy feels like it's imbalanced because it's like 2 against 1, and it's just like overwhelming. And basically the bottom line is that, you know, in my perspective, the Asian, you know, Filipino culture can be very direct. Like when I'm talking to Julie and Benji, they can be very direct. And it's like and it can be very harsh, you know. And I think that it's a cultural interpretation. They're being as harsh, and then on our side, are more the Western, you know, African American side, we're a lot more, you know, feely, a little bit more, you know, delicate, and so it comes off a little bit, you know, harsh and rash, you know. So I think there is some cultural differentiations going on. But anyways, I just wanted to let you guys know that, you know, we do have cultural and strategic divisions that we can make, and that can, you know, have different organization and decision-making and budgetary systems that can make sure that we can all be working together in parallel, even if there are disagreements within the broader network. So anyways, let's move on. Are there any last things people want to say?
Jay?
Yeah.
Jay?
Go for it, James.
Let me just make a last contribution. For me, all I want to say is that there's nobody in this entire team, even the other members who I don't know, who receive any favors from anybody. So the reason is because when all this conflict was going on, there were certain people, there were certain characters who were involved in that conflict. They were accusing others of getting favors. I can't say, because, but you see, so that's all I can say.
Yeah.
I can't anything.
Yeah, and I guess it is important to mention within the context of this conflict that our time, the work that we're working and the time that we track is not a direct influence of our pay. We're all getting paid small amounts. Those small amounts of money are bigger amounts of money in certain jurisdictions of the world. But overall, it's no one's getting a lot here, you know. And beyond that, it's like we're all getting basically stipends, right? And the work, whether we work 50 hours in a week or whether we work, you know, 25 hours in a week, it's like you're getting paid the same amount of money. In that context, the reason why we track our time is simply of 2 things. One is that we track our time to ensure that you know, people are doing work at all, right? Because if you're not doing any work, then it's like we don't want to pay people, right? And then the second reason is for all of our equity and our value tracking systems. So we're actually distributing value based on the equity. It's worth almost 10 times more value than the actual upfront pay that we're doing. So that's part of why we track the time. So I think we're ready to move on. Are there any other last things? Because obviously we're going to have to cover this more in the future. It's not going away, unfortunately.
Okay, no, not for me. I understand. Next topic will be personal policies, and it takes 10 minutes.
All right, so I think we're ready to move on. Okay. Cool, and we made a decision there, which is excellent. All right, personnel policies. So there's a couple different things here that I'm kind of excited for. Do we have a list of a sub list of that? I think there's a sub list. And I just want to remind people that there are no projects, responsibilities, or tasks. Like, you know, I don't care that Steve signed up to do this. Like, this needs to happen. Like, we need the priorities, project responsibilities, and tasks all organized by the end of the meeting. Okay, so Personnel, so we have team rankings, and then we have the buddy team responsibilities, strategic voting, strategic. This I want to go away. We don't want to go back. Okay. Okay, so let's do the team rankings first. This should be like 5 minutes.
Sure.
And this is technically a proposal. And we do need someone to index this. Although it can go, so the task would be to add this to our personnel policy doc. All right, so it should be able to just go into the doc. Okay, so the personnel policy ranking is as follows. Only teams can officially fire people or remit, but rankings can stop work, suspend, or temporarily release people's roles. So basically, the bottom line, as an individual, no individual or buddy team has the power to basically, affect someone's life. That can only happen within teams where you have basically equal or semi-equal decision making, right? But either way, within the actual work, so within the main Andromeda session that happens, our weekly session, we're all equal. We all have equal vote, one person, one vote, majority vote, democracy, right? Rules, basically, right? They're within different types of decisions. There are slightly different, models. Some of decisions have to go to the board structures and the legal decision-making structures of the network. But overall, equal voice, equal vote, participatory democracy, that's how we function. But when you're doing the work, and we're in buddy teams, and we're doing different sessions, like, the vast majority of the time of the week is in buddy teams and actually working, it's not equal. Right? And we don't want equality because when you're working, it's not about having endless discussion and about, voting on how we want, whether it's going to be blue or red, right? It's about just getting the work done and like as quickly as possible, right? On behalf of the public, we're publicly accountable. We need to get the work done that was told to do the work that was designated by the different sessions and our clients and the public. Okay, does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Okay, so then you have 3 sets of bosses within the work framework. And so this is part of our decentralized distributed legal models but it's like a decentralized hierarchy. So everyone has 3 bosses. You have your HR budget boss, you've got your contribution rankings boss, and your representative rankings boss. All right. So you have 3 sets of bosses. And they typically could be different people, but each of these different bosses has a very, very different function in terms of the ability to take action. So the HR, this person makes the final decisions on the budget, right? And so they're technically your primary boss as far as your life and your living and the money that you're actually making, right? So these people are making sure that work is being done, right? If work is being done, your budget boss should be happy. And Heather is by definition the highest level of the HR board, and so she is all of our bosses, right? And if she doesn't see that work is happening, she's going to put her foot down, and she already started to put her foot down, which is kind of why, if you noticed in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we've really ratcheted up the policies and ratcheted up like making sure shit's getting done, because Heather was not impressed. So making sure people are working. That's what the budget HR ranking is doing. What this means is that within any particular session, and this includes within buddy teams. So if you have a 3-person buddy team, there is always a boss within the 3 people, right? There's always a ranking, and whoever is the top ranked is the person who's the boss. And this means that they can immediately tell someone to stop. If they're not helpful for that moment, they'd be like, you need to leave me to stop. Right? They're the boss. They can tell anybody to stop at any time. They can tell them to take the rest of the day off. They can tell them to reduce their time and their work and their schedule, so they can temporarily change their schedule. And they can implement a temporary suspension for the worker that would need to go back to a team to be reviewed. Right? So this obviously would need to be reviewed. All right, does that make sense in terms of the power of the HR budget ranking in that boss? Okay, so what the HR budget ranking can't do is tell someone what to do. As long as they're working, it's good to go. The contributions ranking person These are the people who basically are doing the work and the output and the deliverables and actually making shit happen. And these are the people making sure that the work is being worked on the priorities that need to happen, so that we're actually making, we're moving towards success, right? So you can tell someone what to work on, the prioritization of that work, and you can even assign responsibilities for what someone needs to do, for example, for a specific session, right? Okay. Like the contribution rankings and why that contribution person, like basically the people who are contributing the most and getting the most work and output and deliverables done are basically the ones who should be in control of making sure we're implementing the work that is needing to get done, because they're the ones who are
I just got a quick question.
Yeah.
Why didn't this structure work when it comes to the conflict that we have between?
Well, that's part of the thing, is that we hadn't instituted it, and that's part of why the conflict was so, like, I wasn't there, right? I had taken the day off because I was in Santa Barbara. I was like, traveling and dealing with all this family stuff. And by the way, my family member passed away yesterday. It was really sad. It's like, oh my gosh. But anyways,
I'm sorry to hear.
I'm so sorry for that.
I know they were pretty old, but it was like, it's still very sad. But anyways, in the context of that particular day, nobody was in charge. Nobody knew the rankings. So we still haven't announced the rankings to the Sonic team yet, and that's going to change starting tonight. So yesterday we finalized the month to make sure everyone's clear what the rankings are, and this is the part of that process. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Does that make sense, Lori?
Yeah, sure, makes sense.
So the last one, this is exciting because we just now have it for the first time, is our representation rankings. Our representation rankings is basically our elections and our evaluation process. And this is basically making sure people are working based on our vision and values. So the vision is like the leadership, right? It's like the leadership. Managers aren't leaders. Managers are just making sure the work gets done for that particular project. The leaders are the people who have the vision and hold the torch for the vision and for the public and the values of the organization. And it relates not just to what we're doing, but how we're doing it and why we're doing it, right? So not just what, but how and why. And this is basically just the what. So the people who become the representative are making executive and temporary legal decisions. They can fire people or even entire teams temporarily, and obviously it needs to be reviewed, right? And they also can speak on your behalf. So when we appoint and elect people as our representatives, they can speak for us. They can speak to the media. They can speak to the public. They can speak on our behalf. No one can shut anyone else up. Like, we don't have such thing as a leak, because everybody can talk to the media. Everybody can talk to anybody, because that's part of how our organization works. But as far as like speaking on your behalf, they can represent you, right? And that's important to note that. That's differentiation. And they can temporarily appoint and remove positions. They can't change responsibilities, but they can change positions, right? Responsibilities, just positions. So this could include like treasurer, outreach director, different coordinator positions. We don't really work in positions very often because we're mainly just focusing on client tasks and responsibilities at this time. Understand the difference between the three types of bosses?
Yes.
Are there any questions?
No,
Do
for
we
me.
want to? So that the proposal is basically to approve the ranking policy. Are there any objections to the policy?
No, I approve this.
Ellie's a yes.
Yeah, it looks like it's
Yes.
been proved before. So
Yes.
Stephen James.
This is great. We need heads. We need heads to move the feet.
Exactly. Cool. So I didn't hear from Steve.
And the good thing is that we know where we come from. Like, we have been working like from the very bottom, so it's good because no one has to pretend more than anybody.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we've been talking about the rankings for a very long time, and we've also been talking about, especially for the HR rankings, which relate to our budget, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but now we're going to start implementing it into the broader context of the organization. and it's going to make things run a lot smoother because at any one time, the entirety of the whole ranking is not active. Right? At any one time, it's only the 3 people or the 5 people on the call or whoever is available at that time. And so that's why the rankings are important. So let's go over the rankings now for the Andromeda. So the HR budget rankings is Jay, Steve, James, Jorge, Anacleta, Nelly, Isaac. Steve is almost my boss. It really just depends on how many hours he is, requesting to work. Because originally you were saying like 10 hours, but you're really working more than that. So it's very, very possible, based in depending on how you change it, but that Steve could become my boss. But we'll see how that goes. But the point is that this is the current rankings. It's also very important to note that Lucy and Benji and Julie are ranked considerably higher than Lucy on the HR ranking as far as the actual budget goes in terms of that particular conflict. All right, the contribution rankings are Jay, Nell, James, Steve. The main reason Steve is very low is because he's only been involved for like a week or two, right? So, and Anacleta and James have been involved longer, So Steve would be ranked much, much higher if he was, in another month or two, he'll gonna go up. And then last but not least, we have representation rankings: Jay, Nelly, James, Steve, Anacleta, Jorge, Isaac. So the representation rankings, it's kind of exciting because it's our first election. Let's make sure that the link is here as well. The easiest way for me to do this would just go to the Sonic team yesterday. Do I have it here? Nope, I don't. Of course I don't.
Jay, I can send you the link.
Oh yeah, you're here, James. Yeah, so just if you can add the link to our notes, that would be helpful so that people who haven't voted can vote. I think possibly one of the reasons Jorge's low is maybe Jorge, Nelly, and Anacleta haven't voted yet. I mean, I don't know. Have you voted yet, Nelly?
No, I haven't voted.
You haven't voted?
No.
No, I haven't voted.
Yeah.
I need to vote.
So only the global team has voted, and the Andromeda team hasn't voted yet. So we need to get the Andromeda team voting, and then we can update the representation rankings from the elections. And we're going to be doing elections regularly. So the elections, the elections will be or there'll be an Earth elections, there'll be galactic elections, there'll be monthly, quarterly, weekly elections, and so it's always going to be changing over time. Okay. So I think that is.
Sorry, where's the link? I'm sorry.
Did you put it in the Hangout?
I'm linking it to the document. Just a second.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
All right. So, anyways, we'll add that here. Link to elections. Okay. And we already covered the culture and strategic divisions. Are there any questions on the rankings?
No, and just a quick reminder, we should be wrapping up. It's 3:30.
Okay, so let's just give an example. So if you have buddy team Nelly, Jorge, and Anacleta, right? Nelly,
okay. It's linked.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Nelly would be in charge of basically, what is being worked on, and making sure that the work is getting done. Jorge would be in charge in relationship to making sure work is getting done at all, or whether or not the things need to stop, right? And then Nelly's also would be, representing the group. All right. So I think that is pretty clear. So I don't know if we're really going to get into this, but there's another proposal here in terms of pay. The pay is the goal is to move forward to an expectation of having a computer and audio connection. That if we're paying someone like $8 an hour, that we expect them to be available with their computer and audio at the time that they're working, right? So I don't even know if I necessarily agree with this, but it's certainly a very valid proposal with the idea that if you don't have both, then the percentage of your pay goes down. So you don't have a computer, then it's like that's half. You can talk with us and you can participate, but if you're not actually using your computer, then you shouldn't be getting the full pay, right? It's like, start taking notes. Like, why aren't you taking notes, right? Like, you just want to talk, you don't want to actually help do the work. Like, why are we paying you full price, right? So then the other one would be if there's no audio connection, you're text only, that would be an additional 50% cut because there's so much value lost there. So we could technically say that if someone is text only and they're not doing any, direct work, not taking notes, not working on spreadsheets, that they should only get 25% of their pay.
Yes.
So I don't know if really we're ready to vote on this proposal unless people are like, this is amazing. But I mean, I think it's a valid proposal and we can talk about it more in the future. So
I really do agree with this.
Natalie's a yes.
Yes, I really agree with this because I think the work needs to be done. So
yeah. So I mean if you're
we are
text
talking
only,
about equity, and this is everybody. If you're having a computer and an audio connection, actually you are going to give more. You are going to do more work.
Oh yeah, and this also goes back to the fact that like, and I mean no one said it. I just have to say it now. Like the conflict with Lucy and Benji and Julie, all of that could easily have been avoided if people just freaking got on the Hangout and talked.
Exactly.
None of that would have ever happened.
Yeah,
and
it's
that
a
was
problem
really
of
what it stemmed down to is people not communicating. So it's like if you just want to chat on the Skype, it's like sure, put those that into your work report, but you're going to get paid 25% pay.
It's like when we have a disagreement in the Andromeda team. The only thing that we do is that we talk we talked it and that's it. But we have the Hangout to do it. So we talk it, and we solve it. But we have the Hangout, and we are able to discuss it, and that's it.
And I don't think this is like an issue of like, oh, my audio connection didn't work for 5 minutes of the meeting, right? I think it's really important that this is focused only on people who are consistently text only or not doing computer work, right? And computer work would be spreadsheets, note taking, writing, things like that. Actually working right on the computer. So it's like, yeah, I mean, I think this is a pretty reasonable proposal. There's certainly a few people it's going to majorly affect.
For example, I remember that Andreen at the beginning, she was only calling but she wasn't able to go through Hangouts, and I helped her to walk through the Hangouts, and now she's able to do Hangouts, and now she is doing spreadsheets, and now she's doing everything, and she's getting there. I mean, but she wanted to do it, and she was,
Yeah, and we're definitely willing to help people and cover costs of getting access to both computers and audio equipment. Like if people, like we don't want it to be a barrier to entry. So if there's costs that need to be covered, we'll help people cover those costs, but they need to go to the effort to, make it work.
Yeah.
Even with Steve, Steve's spending an extra $5 a day on his internet connection for his phone. And it's like, that's a lot of extra money, but it's like we'll reimburse that if he's doing that so we can do this extra work. It's a business cost, it's like it's internet cost, right? So we would prefer people to cover their overall house internet, and then that wouldn't be a business cost. But it's like if Steve is specifically going over his data usage on his phone to do work for us, that is an applicable cost. We're even willing to call people internationally and cover the international 3 cents a minute or 5 cents a minute or even 11 cents a minute, whatever the freaking number is. I mean, we're not going to pay $1, $3 a minute, but we will connect people with audio via phone if necessary. Like it should not be a problem to get people's audio connection.
Yes.
The problem is in the person taking initiative.
We just need the people to do an effort.
Right. Okay.
So James, let's hear your perspective. Do you want to vote?
Yeah, I'm going to vote. I think a bold yes on this topic, and this is because sometimes you find that it is during the main sessions, and you find that almost everybody is on the Hangout, but nobody is speaking. Jay is always talking, asking questions. Nobody is talking. And sometimes that demoralizes the person who is facilitating the sessions. And you find sometimes you find that even those ones who are on the call and they are contributing, they are spending a lot of time. Maybe the internet connection is slow, but we are trying as much as possible. That some people, they will never talk, we will never hear them, and that's why I'm going to vote.
Yes, that's true.
Because like during a main session, it will be awkward. Maybe you find that maybe Jay is the one who is speaking, and all of us, we are like on mute. So for me, it's a yes.
Cool. Awesome. And Steve, do you want to vote?
Yes.
Your vote a yes. Okay. And I just want to mention here that this makes sense that it wouldn't start until the next month's budget. So as part of the next month's budget, this would be a new policy and would affect people's pay, but it wouldn't start until the next budget, so people have fair warning that it would affect. And then we have the additional discussion decisions. All right, cool. So let's move on. Good. So we're definitely behind schedule a little bit here. I would love to get through this last topic.
Main session.
Say again, Steve. Steve, I can't hear you. All right.
Independence levels.
Yeah, independence levels. So let's go ahead and cover the independence levels briefly. Because I really want to get to this. It's very, very important. So the first thing is that similar to all this other stuff, the independence levels are there to create an incentive for people to just do the work that is being asked of them, right? So this would be, for example, we have two new teams that are coming together at this time. So there's two new teams. We have the Pacific team, and the Pacific team is doing great, right? This is Andreen, Nelly, Jay, and Steve. Right, so we're doing really well, very exciting. The Atlantic team is really like just barely getting started, right? So, that's it's like it definitely in the funny about the Atlantic team is we've been working on it longer. Like I've been asking and trying to get people to get involved in the Atlantic team for like months now, and it just never happened, right? So, I think it's better to go slow and all realize that the Atlantic team is really just not organized yet. And that it's still like basically, level 1, right? So we have the Atlantic team and the Pacific team. I would say the Pacific team is starting to get more organized into level 2. But that the Atlantic's team is really still at level 1. That's where I'm at as far as like the teams go. So that would be the first proposal. Would be that basically proposal, Atlantic team stays at level 1, Pacific team moves to level 2. Does anyone have any objections with that?
No, not me. Atlantic team stays at level 1. Pacific team move to level 2. No objections. Not for me. I don't know if the rest of the team.
Okay, so it sounds like we're good on that. So we can change this one, which I think is pretty exciting. So go ahead and set that. But so from here, yeah, Steve.
Why is this Sonic on level 2 and level 3?
Because level 3 is where Sonic currently is, but we might propose it to go down to level 2.
Okay.
I think for now we should keep the Sonic at level 3. I think Andromeda is at level 3, and then we just and everything else is basically doesn't exist as far as our super teams. Okay, so let's go back to the other thing to note here in terms of the Atlantic team, because the Atlantic team is starting to get a little active, and we have Buddy team, Jorge, Ana Clara, and Nelly, right? the key thing to understand here is that the goal and focus should be on the individual, right? So the individual, there's an individual responsible for making sure the teams are functional, right? And then secondarily, you would have, you know, the sub buddy teams of Anacleta and Nelly, Nelly and Jorge, and Anacleta and Jorge. So basically what that means is that, let's say Nelly had individual authority, right? Or individual level that she could be more independent. If Nelly is independent, that means that she can set up a buddy team with two people who are not independent. Does that make sense, everybody? That Nelly is responsible for those other two people. So basically, if you set up a buddy team that doesn't have its own independence level, but Nelly, then Nelly, Anacleta, and Jorge could meet. Nelly and Jorge could meet. Nelly and Anacleta could meet, but Anacleta and Jorge, if Nelly couldn't show up, would not be allowed to meet because they didn't do the work required to get their level upgraded. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
So in that context, the individual in the sub teams are more important than the triple buddy team, like the three of you guys together. You know, because like what you have to understand is that you organize your 3-buddy team, but like if one person doesn't show up, you're not organized as a 2-person buddy team, right? A 2-person buddy team by definition will always be different than a 3-person buddy team.
Okay.
And I know it sounds like a minor thing, but in those details, it actually makes a big difference in my experience. Like you had a new person and suddenly your whole team changes. And remember, it's not just about you. Every single buddy team is put on the schedule and is put on the public calendar. Anyone from the public, anyone from any other team can technically go to that space. And then that person, Nelly, whoever the individual team responsible, is responsible for breaking up into 2-buddy teams and breaking up into 3-buddy teams and coordinating that entire space where the public could involve, you know, making sure you have the ability to communicate with the public. Does that understand? That makes sense? That all buddy team sessions are publicly accessible. And that might be something we want to add into our buddy team levels. Maybe not necessarily the individual level, but buddy team levels might be like public interaction.
Actually, it's good because I don't know, but Nelly and I have been working. We are like we talk like every single day, I guess. So it's good. It's good.
Yeah. And so this public interaction would be basically, it's very, very minor. There's not a lot into it, but basically every person who becomes independent and buddy team where I'm not available, this includes people working on the other side of the world, should be able to answer a very simple list of like 5 questions. You know, like, what is the purpose of the FQN Community Network? You know, what are we doing? How can I be involved? You know, and where to find more information? What's the website? You know, what is the collaboration form? You know, just, I mean, some very, very basic things, right? How do I sign up to get paid, right? How do I, you know, join, right? These are some very basic things that everybody should be able to answer in order to really be independent. Or at least know where to find those answers if they don't have them memorized. All right, so that makes sense?
Yes.
Cool. All right, so
Yeah, it makes sense.
So yeah, the main problem with the super teams right now is that the double teams, triple teams, and full teams are not organized, right? And that's a big problem. But the buddy teams are getting better, right? I'm pretty excited about the buddy teams. Things are coming together. The independent levels are obviously not getting done. We're making progress, you know, but overall the buddy teams are coming together. It's very exciting. The sign off is the most important thing. Do the buddy teams actually know how to do what they're saying that they know how to do? All right, but we can start going up to individual levels. So the proposals on the individual levels is I'm proposing to go to level 4. I have my main doc, my available schedule, my list of responsibilities. I can sign off that I know how to do my responsibilities. My HR proposal is good. My main buddy team proposal is good. The only issue I have is I have a lot of secondary buddy teams, but none of them are necessarily like, you know, finished.
I guess you and me are. I mean, we work a lot.
But it's not about working. That's not the point. The
Right.
point is about being organized. So Jay and Steve, we don't even have our doc linked, right? So our doc's not even linked. We do have our schedule, we have our projects, we have our responsibilities. We need to sign off that we can
Right.
do them. But are we doing recordings? I
Right.
don't know. So anyways, there's still a few things there, but we're pretty good shape. We're better than the average. For me,
Right.
in my individual level right here, and this should link to the main doc. Everybody's things should link to the main doc. I have a lot of buddy teams that I've been working on. So these are the most functional: Jay and Nelly, Steve and Jay and Anacleta, Heather and Jay, Nelly, and Andreen. So those are the main buddy teams that I'm working with that are quite functional at this point. Have they hit the mark? Not quite yet. And then some of the other buddy teams are meeting, but they're just not organized at the same level. And then these are my main roles and my primary projects and primary responsibilities. So I have that all set up. So
do I.
yeah. So anyways, I definitely want to propose getting to level 4. Nelly, Steve, I'm down to go through it, as well right now, and we can double check on you guys. And then from there, I definitely think that Isaac should go down to level 2, and Zilu.
About Isaac, he hasn't been heard from in God knows how long. What are we doing about Isaac?
Well, right now we don't need to worry about it. We just need to say that Isaac is level 2, right? That's the proposal.
Okay.
And that once Isaac is level 2, that would mean that he basically can't work without meeting with someone who's like level 4 or 5 or 6. Like, they need to like be, they can't work on their own. Period. They're not independent anymore at all. Yeah. So, shall we start with those 2 and then go from there?
Yes.
So is there any objection to approving Jay to level 4?
Nope.
No for me. No.
All right, so I think that's agreement. No objections. No objections. So that's done. Proposal to move Isaac from level 3 to level 2. Any objections to it? No objections?
No objection.
No.
Okay, so that's agreement there. So let's do that real quick. So we have our first level 4, which is exciting. We could start working to get to level 5. What's that going to look like? Yeah, we'll figure that out. We got to get even more organized. All right, and then we're going to put.
Comment.
I know, no comment. And then we're going to put Isaac at level 2. Oh, Zilu. I think Zilu should also be level 2. So proposal, Zilu is level 2.
Yes.
Yes.
Agreement. So no objections with that. I don't think so. I think we're good there. All right, and so that would put Zilu to level 2. So I mean, Julie, Ulysses, Benji. I mean, I think that they're still okay at level 3. And then the only other question is Nelly and Steve. We could start going through that and seeing how far we get. So are we all on the same page here? Does this all sound good? Are there any other proposals we want to go through?
Sure.
All right, so Nelly's got her main doc, availability schedule, is this the responsibilities? The main question with Nelly is getting them signed off. So let's take a look.
I do, but
let's see here. So Nelly should have 5 responsibilities. So exit value tracking. So the first thing with exit value tracking is not even a responsibility, right? It's exit value tracking is actually a project, and it's huge. There's like 10 or 15 different subcomponents, and that would be implying you know how to do all of them, right? So you would need to specify what within value tracking you have to do. So this is like sign off, done. Worker coordination. Worker coordination is also a project, and worker coordination involves about 10 responsibilities. 5 to 10 responsibilities.
Sorry to interrupt, team. We have 10 minutes.
Okay. So recruitment also is like I don't think that would end up being your responsibilities. So we can go through that accounting and finance support. I think you're starting to learn some of this, so it's getting better there. But whether you're fully independent on it is another question. So I would say that your responsibilities could still use a little work. I like this as a project, but you don't necessarily need a project as an individual.
Okay.
So, but I do think there are other responsibilities that you know how to do that aren't listed here that you could add. So that's kind of where I'm on it. Let's see the rest of it. So you have your HR proposal, you got your main buddy team, your second. So this is another thing, is getting your secondary buddy teams organized, and this is a lot harder. Where do you think you're at this? Maybe like 35%?
I'm working on. Yes, I'm working on that.
For your Pacific team.
Yeah. So it's this is definitely a lot harder. I'm having trouble with it as well. Because it's like getting yourself organized is one thing. Trying to get other people organized is like, oh my gosh. So
Yes.
Steve here. I mean, we haven't even started your list and all that stuff. Also, it's not even linked. I don't see
I
your
have a main doc.
Yeah. So we need to get your main doc linked. We know you have a main doc, so we can add that. So I would say that we wait on Steve and Nelly, because I think it would be better to go through it a little bit more in detail. But I think that you could easily get to level 4 in just with like an hour or two of work and getting it all organized, and maybe a little bit of training. So yeah, I think this is good. Any other questions on the independence levels and why, how, what, anything?
No.
No, I think it was clear from the beginning, like depending on the responsibilities and on the time you're spending, and yeah, it's good.
Yes.
Awesome. All right, cool. I like it, and it's just like, I think it should be pretty simple to get this stuff done, but it also be hard enough that it takes some effort. It's like that little middle ground where it's like, really, it's it should be possible for everybody to do this, but it does take a little initiative. For example, one of the things that I'm really trying to push, the Atlantic team is going to need to function reasonably independently. With the Australia team and the Africa team, these teams are going to need to be almost entirely independent.
What's the times? Yeah.
Because they're at times where basically I'm either just getting up in the morning or going to bed. So these two teams, I want them to happen, but I'm not even going to get involved, right? I am literally not going to be the person who schedules the meeting, right? And so it's like I ask the Sonic team to schedule the meeting, or for example, the Africa Octant to schedule the meeting, but it's like until people do it, I'm not gonna. It's just not gonna happen, right? So the other thing to consider here is that we're moving towards the Atlantic. It's actually called the. It's going to be the East Atlantic and the West Pacific. No, the East Pacific and the West Atlantic. And these are going to be our new quintets. So we have 5 quintets. And just to like give a little bit more on the quintets, because I think it's kind of exciting. Let's go to our ranking. I think this would be pretty easy to find. Ranking. Oh no, but this is going to be the wrong one. All right, let's go to July, August ranking. All right, this is the last thing I'm going to say, and then I'm going to shut up. We can, check out. And the only thing that's missing here is the fact that we still have not gotten our, so there's lots of projects, there's lots of responsibilities, there's lots of tasks. Still not here. It's just like not happening, So I don't know what to do to get this to happen, but it's just like we can't do the wrap up. We can't review the responsibilities and tasks without getting this updated. So I'll try again next meeting. I'll do it over and over and over again because it can't not happen. We need that to happen in order to be organized, and I can't do it because I'm facilitating. Trying to facilitate and do all that organizing is just too much. So anyways, I just wanted to show you guys really quickly the rankings here. So this is the election. So Nelly, Jorge, Ana Clara, some people might not have voted yet, but basically this would be the end of June election.
I already voted.
You all voted. So anyways, this doesn't include your votes, but we'll add those in here. Maybe James, you can help update it. But basically the ranking.
Jay.
Yeah. James.
Okay, that ranking is not up to date. Okay, I'm working on updating all of.
Yeah, so just update it. Update it. I'll make it yellow. So
I was updating on the response sheet first.
Oh yeah, that's fine, and then just update it here afterwards. So basically, the point here is that what's going to happen is everybody is going to have these new quintets, right? So for the Austrasia, for example, Ulysses has the highest ranking within Austrasia, and then Benji, and then Mal, and then Julie. Within Central Asia, you have Abdul and Zilu. For the East Pacific, you have Jay and Heather and Isaac. Your Africa is Lucy and James by default, since they're the only two people there, right? And then you have the West Atlantic. It's Nelly, Steve, Ana Clara, Jorge, Andre, right? So obviously these are going to change, and it'll change, week to week, month to month, year to year. But the top two people from each quintet will be have the opportunity to be in charge of that quintet and get scheduled and paid for that. And we're going to go over this, but the quintets are going to become more and more independent and more active across the world. So that's the last thing I'm going to say. If you either have questions on it right now, we can go over it. But basically, the top two for each quintet, it would be the winner of the election.
Okay, it sounds logic.
Yeah, but it's not really just the top two. The top two becomes are the primary ones. But basically, like the ranking is still applicable. So during that quintet session, there's always an individual who has the highest rank and would be in charge. Cool. All right. So I think we're done. Let's check out. I'll go first. I thought this was a good session primarily because we got a lot of things accomplished. We made a lot of decisions. Decision-making, updating to be done, but I'm sure it probably won't happen, but maybe one day we'll get better at doing all the document updating. I think we just need to hire
decision back and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think we just need to hire more people or people who are willing to do that type of work. So, but anyways, yeah, I thought this was good. I'm going to be jumping in the car and driving to Oakland. So I'm going to check in on the Pacific session, but don't expect me to be active and on my computer and all that kind of stuff because I'm going to Oakland.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
And check.
We can handle that.
Steve, you want to check out? Nelly?
Sure.
Nelly, you want to go?
Sure. I think this was a very good session. We went through a lot of things that were important, that are important and needed to be taken care, and I'm glad we did. And I feel real good about our work today. So I'm going to prepare for our Pacific session, and then because it's raining a lot here like crazy, I think I'm just going to stay home. Check.
Steve?
I think that this was a very good session. I think that some important things were talked about conflict resolution and the Islamic session. I think, some better understanding was of what we need to get done for our processes and what people want to see. I think it's going to be a slow process, but if it don't get done, if we just give it time, I think that, we're getting there. But slowly we're getting there.
James?
Yeah, okay. For today, I think the session was good. Some topics were necessary to be discussed. And I know that with time we will perfect. I can't say perfect, but I know we will become more efficient in what we do. And above all, for us, we have become like family. Family at the end of the day, we cannot let anything split our family. So that's for me. Check.
Jorge? Jorge?
Did we lose him?
You're muted, Jorge.
No, I'm still here. Sorry, I was writing. Yeah, I'm agree with everything that you guys said. I don't want to be repetitive here. And I think we're moving forward into getting things more organized. I know that we say this every single week, but yeah, it's like little steps before you start running. Go check.
Great. All right. I think we are done.
And just a quick aside, Andrine wasn't able to have a child's graduation. He sent me a message. I think because I got kind of come first.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So I guess we'll see each other tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I'll see you, Nelly.
Bye.
Nelly, and see you in
Bye, James.
Bye.
Yes, in an hour.
Safe trip, Jay.
For sure.
Safe trip.
Yeah.
Bye.